It seems like things just keep getting worse for the Haunted Mansion carriage house out there at Disneyland Resort in Anaheim, California. This much maligned and possibly prefabricated house that's meant to move serious merchandise when people exit the Haunted Mansion has been plagued by unusual issues like AI art that disappears after people complain about it. Well, now it seems they have a different problem in that they've forced everyone to leave the carriage house and put up sandbags for flooding. What in the world is going on with Disney Imagineering? Let's talk about that on That Park Place.
Hello, this is VashSky, your host for today's Ghoulish Ceremonies. What you're about to see is our initial reaction to the story, but we have an update for you, so stick around. You won't want to miss this, and you're not gonna believe it. It is really something. But first, let's go ahead and get to our initial reactions on the story. It's the one, it's the only, the carriage house. Oh, it's the people's favorite. Oh, I just love talking about this stupid building.
So, right, carriage house.
It's just, man, this thing, it is ugly, it is plain, it should be nowhere near Disney property, and yet it's stuck in the middle of one of the quaint corners of Disneyland. It just infuriates me.
It's filled with nonsense.
Yes,
it's filled with Kim Irvine nonsense, and then she talks down to. Oh, I can't even. It's I could talk about this for hours.
Absolutely. Well, we might just have to, because we have another problem erupting at the carriage house. So if people aren't familiar with what the structure is, this is the exit gift shop for the Haunted Mansion over there at Disneyland. It did not previously have one for many, many years, ever since it made its opening in 1969. Consumer products, the retail kind of division of the Walt Disney Company within, now the experiences division, whatever. The retail guys for the parks used to stage some merchandise carts around this area to try to provide an exit gift shop type experience. Even though Walt Disney World, for example, Walt Disney World's version, what is the name of that shop called there, Marvin?
Memento Mori.
Memento Mori. Yep. And
it's nice. I like Memento Mori. Memento Mori's cool.
Oh, it is very cool, and it's very well themed, not just to the Haunted Mansion itself, but also to in Liberty Square, I would say. Which just have a peculiar, I would say, theming quality to it that I think Memento Mori is very consistent in keeping with. Is that your experience out there in Florida?
Yeah, and it'll be really easy to convert it when they turn Liberty Square into Haunted Square, because it's coming. It's coming.
Oh, don't say that, Marvin. You say these things.
I'm telling you. What's the restaurant? It'll be the Columbia Horror House.
Oh no! Don't give them any ideas now.
Marvin, the Liberty Boo-Well.
Oh no!
The old Halloween shop. Sleepy Hollow refreshments they can keep, because that's also a horror story. The Hall of Presidents will then just become like the Hall of Ghouls or something like that. I don't know.
Well, so Disney's future not looking very bright, especially when you look at their most recent construction projects. Right next door to the carriage house that you can see in this photo right now is Tiana's Bite Adventure. And they spent, I think, hundreds of millions of dollars on that attraction right there to replace Splash Mountain. And we know the work output from that. And it's very bad. It's not very good at all. So when we look at projects in the future, we only have the basis to examine those projects within the context of what they've come out with, right? So the carriage house itself, there's an effect, Marvin. It's very interesting. When you put up AI artwork, after a while, it disappears, which is pretty cool, right? That's a feature.
It disappears, and then the woman that put it there can tell you to calm down, because it was never supposed to be there anyway.
Ah, I see. These temporary placeholder things. But yes, the Imagineers bought art to display in the carriage house from a third party, which, depending on what that is, might be fine, might be not. In this case, it was AI generated artwork that they bought and put up. They have put up pieces from Amazon, up in the rafters of this whole building right here. And yes, as Marvin points out, Kim Irvine, the lead on this project, said that, oh, these were just temporary. You know, these were never supposed to be there for very long. Well, you might as well have left that space void rather than fill it with something that never should be attached to Disney property in any way, shape, or form, like this building, for example. But guess what, Marvin? We have even more drama attached to this, because recently it actually rained pretty hard in the LA or Southern California area. And that meant that Disneyland was showered with rain as well. So how did this building right here fare with its first rainstorm? Here you go. This by Matt Desmond, or Disney Scoop Guy on Twitter. Madame Leota's Somewhere Beyond, that's the name of the shop here, at Disneyland had to close this evening due to flooding from a very light rain. Not sure how this is going to hold up in a storm when this required sandbags. And you can see, if you zoom in here, which I will try to do, you can see actually the staging of sandbags in this particular vicinity right here, trying to keep the water out of this brand new shop. We have come to a point, Marvin, where construction is so shoddy at Walt Disney Imagineering that they can't even deal with rain.
Because this building, you can't even say this building was designed for the rain, because it wasn't designed. It's a prefabricated design that they bought from like Home Depot.
The point of this building is to provide an exit gift shop for the Haunted Mansion, and it can't even do that, Marvin, in the rain. You know what? Close it.
Like, at the end of the day, I'm pretty sure any prefabricated shed that I would buy from Lowe's and put together myself would actually do a decent job of keeping the rain out of it.
You would think so, and I'll tell you, you know, the way you keep the rain out is actually you do a little grading on the outside to kind of keep that water flowing in the opposite direction of your structure. That's one way. Or you can provide a foundation that doesn't, I don't know, get flooded as easily as this one has, apparently. It is remarkable how much of a failure this thing is. And again, when you talk about Villains Land or the new Cars Land that will replace the Rivers of America over there in Magic Kingdom, when you talk about Monsters Incorporated Land that will replace, unfortunately, the Muppets with its Muppets Theater, Muppet Vision 3D, how are we to judge the quality of these incoming additions when the most recent additions to the park have done so terribly?
There should be no faith in anything that Imagineering does from here on out. Under Kim Irvine as creative director, they are now the Imagineers, and they don't do anything well. I mean, there's no more imagination in a department that was literally named after having imagination. Kim Irvine is a Nepo baby. Her parents were both involved in the company, and she's their she's basically a spokesperson for the Stories Managed department at this point. She's a hack. She's a hack. They're all hacks. They don't know what they're doing. They've kicked out anyone with actual creative vision, and Universal was all too happy to scoop them up. And this is what we get now. We get buildings that can't stand up to rain.
I am awestruck just how badly Imagineering has fallen, because they used to be the premier design studio and architectural firm. I mean, people from all over the industry would come to learn from the greats at Imagineering. Now, you hear about the transfer of people from not just to Universal, right, to Universal Creative, but you hear about them going to Gensler. I now kind of understand why you would actually do that, because anywhere is better than Imagineering at this point.
Yeah.
When you look at the quality of the work output, how could anybody come to a different conclusion? It's just
it's insane. It's utterly insane what they have done to this department, what they have done to this what they've done to the company in general, what they've done to these experiences. I mean, we see it with Tiana's Bayou Adventure, hundreds of millions of dollars sunk into a virtue signal to make a ride that doesn't work at the expense of something that was beloved. We're seeing it with the Haunted Mansion now. They changed it back, and at first everybody was kind of like, "Oh, cool, back to the original vision." And then Kim Irvine put that to rest when she was like, no, we changed it because of virtue signaling. We changed it because of modern sensibilities, not to honor the creativity of those that came before us, not to respect the original vision of a classic attraction that was conceived of by Walt, that Walt himself wanted in the park. Nothing about the history of the attraction. It's all about modern sensibilities, modern audiences. We don't want to trigger anyone. Like, stop it. Just stop it. You are a blight on that company, on that department, and an absolute shame against the legacy of your legendary parents.
Absolutely, 100% agree, and I couldn't have said it any better myself. Go and Shogi has a comment right here that I think is right in line. Go and Shogi, member for 9 months. Can we stop calling it imagineering? That name implies imagination, creativity, and passion.
That's why I call it meh-gineering.
I've lost faith entirely. I mean, unless something really knocks my socks off coming out of Imagineering, I have no faith that these new projects are going to be any better than the previous, especially in recent years. And I think that's why the enthusiasm for these new projects has diminished so greatly. Not just because we can see the concept art and go, that's not great. Not just because they're replacing our favorite things. But we just see what they've done before, and we're not impressed. Speaking of not being impressed, boy, oh boy, do we have an update for you on this one. Here you go, straight out of Scott Gustin on Twitter. This January 31st, 2025, crews at Disneyland will begin replacing concrete on the east side of Madame Leota's Somewhere Beyond, starting February 3rd to improve drainage in the area. Work will last a month. The shop is expected to remain open, but some exterior props, theming may be removed until work is done. Wow, this is really, really something. A brand new gift shop just opened, and they already have to close it only, I think like a month or something after it officially opened. This is crazy. During a recent rainstorm, poor drainage in the area resulted in some flooding in front of the store. The concrete work will address those issues. Wow. I mean, not surprised. Obviously, retail wants to go ahead and sell their merch right here, but this is really something, and something I didn't actually present in the initial coverage of the story was that, remember, during that Los Angeles Times interview that Kim Irvine gave regarding this whole project, she says that this whole carriage house has been in the works for about a decade. After 10 years of working on this thing, this is the end result. I mean, I am just absolutely stunned right here. And as my post actually relays, and as I did multiple times in the video, I mean, how are we supposed to maintain our enthusiasm for projects that are coming out of WDI within the next couple of years if this is the work output? I mean, if this is the quality of their work, it's absolutely crazy. Remember, the Cars attraction is supposed to take place exclusively in the rain because it's going to be out there in Florida. How well is that going to contend? It's just, we've seen some really, really bad stuff out of Imagineering over the past 4 years or so. And, it's making headlines in all the wrong ways, as you can see here. Now, here's a couple of things to note on this story. For one thing, I think Deborah actually brought it up when responding to me on Twitter. Let me go ahead and see if I can actually find that tweet. Here we go. Daily Dose Deborah. How do they get a permit to build without proper drainage? That's a good question. What was the process, the inspection process on a project like this? That's weird. And the second thing here is, if we go over to Theme Park Wizard's recent live stream that he had over there on his YouTube channel, you can actually see here, I'm going to go ahead and play this just a little bit. You can actually see here that they've set up merchandise carts outside of the carriage house. So those ugly merchandise carts that were the bane of many people's existence on the exterior of the Haunted Mansion when this carriage house wasn't actually present, well, they're back. So I guess retail not content with how much they've been selling inside the carriage house. So this thing is a failure from stem to stern. I just cannot believe that it took them 10 years to build a building that now has to be worked on only a month after opening. It is really embarrassing. That's about our video here on That Park Place. Please go ahead and hit that subscribe button if you haven't subscribed yet. Like this video if you did like this video. Share us out as it helps us out tremendously against the YouTube algorithm. And thank you so much for watching. For all the news that should be fun.
Thanks for watching That Park Place News. For more information, consider checking out www.thatparkplace.com. And don't forget to subscribe, share, like, and send this out on your favorite social media accounts.